When you visit One Mission Society headquarters in Greenwood, Indiana, you will discover that two of the main roads that surround the property are named in honor of the mission's founders, Charles Kalman and Ernest Kilbourne. While the credit these two men receive for their role in the history of OMS is more than appropriate, there is another name that receives far too little recognition for his contribution: Juji Nakata, a Japanese minister and the other founder of OMS. Juji was a brilliant and gifted young minister. Upon his graduation from seminary, he was appointed to the remote, windswept islands of Japan. He quickly concluded that his ministry was as barren as the rock-strewn environment in which he and his wife lived. He confided to her that there was no future in preaching a message that inspired more doubt than faith. He planned to resign. About that time, he received a magazine detailing the ministry of Dwight L. Moody in Chicago, Illinois. "If there is any way," Juji told his wife, "I must go to Chicago. Otherwise, my ministry is over." His wife sold her dowry jewels to pay for his ship fare to the United States. At Moody Bible Institute, Charles Kalman and Ernest Kilbourne had themselves been taking night classes. Both had recently been converted and were working as telegraph executives for Western Union, where they had led 60 of their colleagues to Christ. Shortly after attending a missionary conference and offering their lives to God for foreign missions, the Kalmans met Juji Nakata and learned about the needs in his homeland of Japan, which until recently was totally isolated from the West and the Christian gospel. Through their relationship that first developed at Moody, they discovered that they had a passion for sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. The Kalmans agreed to join Nakata in Japan to start a holiness mission in Tokyo. In 1901, they founded a small gospel hall in a storefront building in the heart of the city. The Kilbournes would arrive a year later. For 3,000 consecutive nights, they held evangelistic meetings. Kalman reported that there were seekers at the altar after Juji's messages every night except for one. This was the beginning of the Oriental Missionary Society. Before long, Japanese churches were organized, and the new association, the Japan Holiness Church, known as the JHC, grew rapidly. The JHC opened a small Bible school for the purpose of training workers for the ministry of evangelism and church planting. In 1911, after being confronted with the uncomfortable truth that much of the inland areas of Japan had not yet been reached with the gospel, the Kalmans organized an unprecedented missionary effort known as the Great Village Campaign. This was the predecessor for today's Every Community for Christ ministry. The Great Village Campaign sought to reach every home in Japan with the gospel message. This task was carried out almost entirely by young Japanese workers who were teamed up with recruits from 2 Bible schools in the United States. This strategy was so effective that in 7 years, the Great Village Campaign completed its goal of reaching 10.4 million Japanese homes. The growth of the Japan Holiness Church continued, and by 1930, they had become the 3rd largest denomination in Japan. In the decades that followed, the strategies that our founders pioneered in Japan have served as a blueprint for expanding our work around the world. Our founders' strategy forms the foundation for our current 4-fold focus of intentional evangelism, church planning, training leaders, and strategic partnerships. Though a relatively small mission, One Mission Society has produced some of the largest churches ever founded by a faith mission. In Asia alone, the total number of churches planted now numbers in the thousands, with millions of believers. Today, on average, 1 person comes to Christ every 2 minutes through the ministries of One Mission Society. The same passion and vision that the Nakatas, Kalmans, and Kilbournes used to reach every person in Japan for Christ lives on in the hearts and minds of One Mission Society's missionaries.